أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم من همسه ونفخه ونفثه. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا وحبيبنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. بجاه سنقرئك فلا تنسى إلا ما شاء الله، إنه يعلم الجهر وما يخفى. يا معلم آدم علمنا، ويا مفهم سليمان فهمنا. يا معلم آدم علمنا، ويا مفهم سليمان فهمنا. يا معلم آدم علمنا، ويا مفهم سليمان فهمنا. بكرامة وعلمك ما لم تكن تعلم، وكان فضل الله عليك عظيما. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us the opportunity of yet seeing another day and another glorious hours in the month of Ramadan. This today marks, inshallah, the 12th day, the number 12 of the days of Ramadan 1444 after Hijrah of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, equivalent to the 3rd of April 2023 CE. So we are going to be discussing today about yet another aphorism of the spiritual Sufi aphorisms of AtaiLlahi Al-Sakandari. So we are reading the aphorism number 10 of those Sufi aphorisms. And for those seeing this for the first time or watching this for the first time, so it is taken from the book Sharhu Hikami AtaiLlahi Al-Sakandari, the explanation of the Sufi spiritual aphorisms of AtaiLlahi Al-Sakandari. So we are treating number 10 today, and number 10 is basically concerned with sincerity of actions. Sincerity of actions. And this can be related closely to the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In fact, the first hadith of the Arba'in al-Nawawiyah, where the prophets and the book concentrates of intention behind any actions and all forms of deeds. So where it is read, innamal a'malu binniyat wa innama likulli imri'in ma nawa, and so on and so forth until the end of the hadith. So basically, it is related to sincerity of actions. Now, in this regard, we are going to be explaining three types of sincerity of actions from three dimensions and three perspectives. The first perspective is Ikhlas al-Ubad, Ikhlas al-Ubad, the sincerity of the worshippers, the ordinary worshippers, simple, physical worshippers. That is one. The second direction and dimension is the sincerity of al-muhibbin, the sincerity, ikhlasul muhibbin, the sincerity of the lovers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the third dimension of sincerity, indeed, from the perspective of this aphorism, is the al-ikhlas al-muqarrabin, ikhlas al-muqarrabin, the sincerity of the close associates of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that could be likened to ikhlasul awliya, ikhlasul awliya, the sincerity from the guided and protected persons of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, we're going to read the stanza as usual, then we go into the translation and interpretation of it, inshallah. Okay. So, the aphorism reads as follows. Al-a'malu suwarun qa'imatun wa arwahuha wujudu sirril ikhlasi fiha. I read again. Al-a'malu suwarun qa'imatun wa arwahuha wujudu sirril ikhlasi fiha. Al-amal, we have explained in the previous aphorism yesterday that it is the plural form of al-amalu, so which is actions, deeds, works. Suwar, it is the plural form of suratun. Okay, it is the plural form of suratun, which can be literally translated as shapes, forms, status, okay, and qa'ima, here, in another word, it is spiritually represented by al-mayyita, okay, mayyitatun, like al-amalu suwarun mayyitatun, okay, ghayru hayya, lifeless, dead, okay, just a statue, standing object. Wa arwahu is the jam'u of ruh, okay, which is literally interpreted as spirits, okay, spirits or souls, okay, or life, okay. Wujud, that is the existence of, okay, كونه, okay, وجود يعني كونه سر الإخلاص فيها, كونه يعني وجود, the existence of. Now sir, that is the form, okay, the act, okay, the secret, okay. Al-ikhlas is sincerity, يعني عدم إخلاص العمل بنية شيء سوى الله, the lack of intending anything other than Allah in our action, in our deeds, okay. Now, so those are some of the words that require attention. Now, the translation of the aphorism goes like, Al-a'malu suwarun qa'imatun. Actions are like lifeless forms, pictures. Al-amalu kasuwarin qa'imatun. Okay, we can put careful at-tashabuhu there. Al-amal kasuwarin qa'imatun. Okay, actions are like forms that are lifeless, forms without life, shapes without life, pictures without life, statues without life. That is what actions are like. وَأَرْوَاحُهَا, the life of actions, the spirit of actions, the soul of actions, the concept of actions, the essence of actions are وجود سر الإخلاص فيها, the existence of the soul of sincerity in the action. Okay, we read again. Actions are the similitude of dead statues, dead forms, lifeless forms. But the spirit, what breathes spirit and life into actions are the presence of sincerity in those actions. Okay? Actions are forms that are lifeless, forms without souls. But the presence of an inner reality of sincerity within them is what endows them with lifelong spirits. We can explain it in that form also, okay, by saying actions are like lifeless forms whose presence, okay, but the presence of an inner reality of sincerity within them is what endows them with lifelong spirit. Now, to breathe a life into our actions, it must be accompanied with sincerity. Okay? The inceptional sincerity. If our actions are not connected with sincerity, it falls under a riyah in most cases, showing off, okay, and pomposity that could also lead to arrogance in some cases. All right? So the concept here is we should try as much as we could to make every act of worship, every act of love, every aspect of our closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be accompanied and related and connected with sincerity of intention, purely for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, without splitting it to any other creature. So that is the simple interpretation of that aphorism. Now we go into the explanation of the author and editor, Sheikh Abdul Majid Al-Sharnobi, rahimahullah. يعني أن أعمال البر كصور قائمة أي أشباه وأرواحها التي بها حياتها وجود سر الإخلاص أي سر هو الإخلاص فيها. The meaning of this aphorism is that good deeds and righteous actions are just like forms without life, statues without activity. وأرواحها التي بها حياتها, the spirit that breathes, the spirits that breathe life into actions are وجود سر الإخلاص, the presence of the lifelong sincerity inside those actions. I sirrun, it is a secret. It is something that is not physical, which is sincerity of that action. فَمَنْ عَمِلَ عَمَلًا بِلَا إِخْلَاصٍ كَانَ كَمَنْ أَحْدَى جَارِيَةً مَيِّتَةً لِلْأَمِيرِ يَبْتَغِي بِهَا الثَّوَابَ وهو لا يستحق على ذلك إلا أنواع العقاب. Anyone who does a work or a deed or an action بلا إخلاص, without sincerity of action. The example of such a person is like a man who presented a dead bride, a dead wife, a dead lady wife, bride, to the king or to the ruler, expecting to be rewarded for that. So in essence, he deserves nothing but kinds of punishment. Number one, for killing a soul, and number two, for ridiculing the leader, the king, by presenting him a dead bride. So by this, anyone who does an act without sincerity will be punished twice. First, as if he has killed the time spent in doing that work. Wasting of time on doing that action, he will be punished for that. And number two, presenting a meaningless work and action to the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is just as if you're playing over the intelligence of Allah, and will be punished dearly for that as well. So al-murad مطلق الإخلاص الشامل لأنواعه. So what is meant here is the absolute, the comprehensive, absolute sincerity in all forms, in all kinds. فإنه يختلف باختلاف الأشخاص. So this differs, these sincerities of action differ from one person to the other. So we are going to mention three major directions of sincerity. Number one, ikhlasul ubad, sincerity of simple worshippers. So what is their sincerity? Their sincerity is سلامة أعمالهم من الرياء الجلي والخفي وكل ما فيه حظ للنفس فلا يعملون العمل إلا لله تعالى طلبا للثواب وحربا من العقاب. So the worshiping sincerity, the sincerity of the worshipper is found in avoiding pomposity, avoiding show offs in their deeds, in their work, both zahir and batin, both hidden and physical. Okay, that is avoiding all forms of show off in anything in their forms of worship and anything that has connections to the self, to avoiding it. Not working, okay, لا يعملون الأمل إلا لله تعالى. What they do, their forms of worshiping, all are for the sake of Allah in expectance of reward and avoidance of punishment. Okay, in the first one, the first direction and dimension is the sincerity of the worshippers. Okay, it is found in them donating all their forms of worship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without any form of showing off. Okay, purely for Allah, expecting to be rewarded by Him and hoping to be saved from the punishment of Allah. That is dimension number one. The second dimension is ikhlasul muhibbina, the sincerity of the lovers of Allah, the beloved ones of God. So this sincerity of lovers, هو العمل لله إجلالا وتعظيما لأنه تعالى أهل لذلك لا لقصد شيء مما ذكر. So it is working and performing in glory and magnificence to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Al-amalu lillahi ijlalan wa ta'ziman. Doing things and working, acting in glorifying and magnifying Allah, because Allah is the only one who is worthy of all these glorifications and magnificence. لا لقصد شيء مما ذكر, not for any desire. Okay, in the previous dimension, the worshipper desire thawab in order to avoid iqab. So they desire from their worship for reward from Allah and also avoiding the punishment of God. But in the relation to the muhibbin, the lovers, they have passed the stage of the muqarrabin. Okay, they have gone beyond the stage of the muqarrabin, the stage of the stage of the ubad. So the muhibbun have passed through the gate of the ubad. So whatever they do or they observe in the glorification and magnification of Allah is not for any reward, it's not in hope for any reward or any avoidance of punishment. It is simply because Allah is worthy of this ijlal and ta'zim. Simply because Allah is worthy of that. When they say Alhamdulillah, they say it simply because huwa ahlun lilhamd. Because Allah is worthy of praise. Not because they expect something ziyada, as in la'in shakartum la'azidannakum. So they are not doing it because of the increment of the goods. And when they avoid any action that could anger Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they do it because God, it is not, those actions are not attributed to the essence of Allah, not because they are afraid of the punishment. The difference between the first dimension of Al-Ubad and the second dimension of the Al-Muhibun is the Ubad, the worshippers, they do worship in expectation of reward, to be gratified, okay, to be salaried, and they wish to be saved because of their worshiping. So it is like trading by barter, give and take. They give worship, Allah give them reward. But in the second stage, they do not expect anything. They do it simply and purely because God is worthy of that action that they are doing. So we can find this example in the actions of Sayyidatuna Rabi'atul Adawiyya, radiyallahu ta'ala anha. Okay, when she says, كلهم يعبدوك من خوف نار ويرون النجاة حظا جزيلا أو بأن يسكنوا الجنان فيهزوا بكسور ويشربوا سلسبيلا ليس لي بالجنان والنار حظ أنا لا أبتغي بحبي بديلا. So, Sayyidatuna Rabi'atul Adawiyya, may Allah be pleased with her, in sincerity of deeds. In another form, she was reported as saying, In kuntu a'buduka talaban li jannatika faharrimniha. If I am worshiping you in hope of a reward of your, in hope of a reward from you, to be admitted into Jannah, so do not admit me into that Jannah. Prevent me from that admittance. That is, if my form of this and worshiping is because I wanted to be admitted into Jannah, so do not put me into that Jannah. Wa in kuntu a'buduka khawfan min narika fa adkhilniha. And if my worshiping for you, my servitude to you, is because I'm afraid of being thrown into the hellfire, please throw me into that fire. Put me into that fire. But in kuntu a'buduka li'annaka ahlan biha fala tuharrimnika. But if I am worshiping you, serving you truthfully and honestly, because you are deserving of that, please do not deprive me of your presence, of yourself. So, in another report, relation. She was quoted as saying that. So that is similar to this. She says, كلهم يعبدوك من خوف نار. All these people, your Obed, they worship you, they serve you, they adore you because they are afraid of being thrown into the hellfire. And يرون النجاة حظا جليلا. And they seem to believe, they assume that being saved from the hellfire is the highest goal, the highest objective in life. أو بأن يسكنوا الجنان فيحظوا. Some other people, some other time, they worship you. كلهم يعبدوك بأن يسكنوا الجنان فيحظوا. They worship you because they wanted to be admitted into Jannah with that form of ibadah that they are presenting to you. Then that will inherit them. Okay, فَيَحْظُوا بِكُسُورٍ. Then that will make them deserved of the palaces in the Jannah. وَيَشْرَبُوا سَلْسَبِيلًا. And they will be allowed to have a taste of the drink of salsabila in the Jannah. As for me, Rabi'atul Adawiyya is speaking, لَيْسَ لِي بِالْجِنَانِ وَالنَّارِ حَزٌّ. I am less bothered, I'm not concerned about the dukhul al-Jannah or Adam dukhul al-Nar. I am not, it doesn't concern me. The Jannah, the paradise, and the hellfire are not my focus. أنا لا أبتغي بحبي بديلا. I am not trading batting. I'm not doing a trade by barter with my love for you. I'm not engaging on trade by barter, on exchange of servitude with Jannah and Adam an-Nar. I am not. أنا لا أبتغي بحبي بديلا. I cannot replace my love for you with simple Jannah and simple hellfire. Okay, with a simple admittance into Jannah and simple deprivation of not entering into hellfire. I cannot exchange my love for you. My love for you is أكثر من ذلك وفوق ذلك. It's more than that. Okay, so now we go to the third and the last dimension of sincerity, which is ikhlasul muqarrabin. Ikhlasul muqarrabin, the highest form of it. To the sincerity of those who are close, who maintain, who enjoy close proximity to the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To the sincerity, this sincerity could be likened to ikhlasu awliya Allah. Ikhlasu awliya, to the sincerity of the ones with who enjoys the proximity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of the divine presence of Allah. فهو شهودهم انفراد الحق بتحريكهم وتسكينهم مع التبرؤ من الحول والقوة فلا يعملون إلا بالله ولا يرون لأنفسهم عملا. In this stage and dimension, they do not see themselves doing anything at all. Okay. In the first dimension of the Ubad, they see themselves doing something to be rewarded with something. In the second dimension of the Muhibbin, they see themselves doing something, but without any expectation of reward or fear of deprivation, right? So the difference between first, second dimension and the third dimension is that the first and second dimension are doing something. They assume that they are doing something, but the third dimension of Muqarrabin, they don't see themselves doing anything at all, because they see both their movement and lack of movement, their actions and lack of actions, as within the proximity of Allah, within the desire of God. When they move, they believe that movement was made possible by God himself. When they couldn't move, that laxity is projected by God himself. So they don't see themselves doing anything initially in concept. So by that, it doesn't give them the feeling of having a reward or being saved from the hellfire with that. Okay? So regarding the Muqarrabin, the closest ones to Allah, so ikhlas, sincerity from their part is shuhuduhum infiradul haq. Their witness of the loneliness of the truth, which is Allah. Their witness that everything is within the proxy of God. بِتَحْرِيكِهِمْ وَتَسْكِينِهِمْ, whether in their action and less action, whether in their activity or in their lack of activity, whether in their movement or whether in the static position. مَعَ التَّبَرُّئِ مِنَ الْحَوْلِ وَالْقُوَّةِ, by which are devoid, okay? So their movement or lack of movement, which are devoid of al-hawl wal-quwwa, of any form of trial and strength. Okay, so they see their actions and inaction as nothing. They don't see it as coming from their exertion of power and might. They don't see themselves doing anything there. فَلَا يَعْمَلُونَ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ. Okay, they don't think that they are doing lillah, but they think what they are doing is billah. فَلَا يَعْمَلُونَ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ. Whatever they do, they project it in the divine desire of God. وَلَا يَرَوْنَ لِأَنفُسِهِمْ عَمَلًا. They do not project any action to themselves. They don't see themselves doing any form of thing. So, to round up this aphorism, so we are encouraged here to engage on sincerity of action. Lillahi subhanahu wa ta'ala. To engage, to make our deeds to Allah. When we relate with people, we make that relationship in accordance to the wish of God. And if we sever our relationship from people, then we do it billahi walillahi. Okay? Ta'ala. So whatever we do, whatever we give or we withdraw, so whatever we say or we silence about, whatever we write or we don't write, so we make sure it is what within the orbit of sincerity to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is where we are going to stop today, inshallah, until we meet again tomorrow in aphorism number 11, inshallah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to further shower his mercies and blessings upon our noble Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and bless our parents, those who have fulfilled their promise. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant them peace and admittance into Jannah and Firdaus, and those who are still alive, we ask Allah for them longevity of life in peace, tranquility, in peace of mind and tranquility. Okay, with arzakul halal at-tayyiba. Bismillah, we equally ask him to reward our teachers, our shuyukh abundantly. إنه على ذلك قدير وبالإجابة جدير. نعم المولى ونعم النصير. Until we meet again tomorrow, أستودعكم ونفسي في رعاية الله الذي لا يضيع ودائعه. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.